Bonjour, c'est Claire at French in the Midlands. Here we go again with the latest update about entry rules for France if you're coming from the UK. Now, before we go any further, I just want to remind you that you can claim your free ebook, The 12 Golden Rules of French, at the link in the description. It's a short ebook that's packed with tips and tricks on how to sound like a native French speaker. Let's see what changed on February the 12th. It's mostly good news. Vaccinated passengers will no longer need a COVID test to enter France. Vaccinated or unvaccinated passengers will no longer need to quarantine or self-isolate on arrival. That'll make your holiday a lot simpler. Now, the thing that's more difficult, and this is a bit complex, so bear with me, the over 18 will need to have received a booster jab 9 months after the second injection at most to be regarded as vaccinated for travelling purposes. That's only for travelling purposes. If you want your pass vaccinal in France, you will have to have had your booster jab 4 months after the second injection. This is really important. To recap, here's what you need to travel if you're fully vaccinated. You will need your certificate of vaccination, your sworn declaration, and I'll give you the link in the description. You may be asked to complete an EU PLF form before boarding, and again I'll give you the link in the description, although it's not an official recommendation and you may not be asked, but to be on the safe side, get it ready. Now, if you're not vaccinated or not fully vaccinated, as usual, it's a bit more difficult. You'll need your certificate of travel showing a compelling reason for entering France. You still need a compelling reason, and I'll provide the link in the description. Bear in mind that being French, even if you live in the UK, is a compelling reason. You will need a negative PCR or antigen test result taken less than 48 hours before your trip. It does say in the guidance that for the PCR test only, it can be 72 hours before. But if you choose the antigen, it's got to be 48 hours. Then you'll need your sworn declaration. The link is in the description below. And you may be asked to complete an EU PLF form before boarding. And again, I'll give you the link in the description, but it's not an official recommendation, so you may not be asked. As far as children are concerned, these are the new rules. Minors don't need a compelling reason to travel, even if they are unvaccinated. However, they will still need to complete a sworn statement. All unvaccinated minors, aged 12 to 17, travelling with unvaccinated adults will be subject to the same rules as them. But if the adult is vaccinated, even if the kids aren't, they can follow the rules for vaccinated adults. And remember that the under 12 are exempt from all tests. Now, the definition of fully vaccinated has changed in France, so you need to be aware of that to avoid any nasty surprises. You will need to have received your booster 28 days and 2 months after the Johnson vaccine at most. This is the maximum time frame. If you have had any other vaccines, Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, it's 7 days after the second dose and 4 months for your booster. So only a 4 months and 7 day gap between the last injection and the booster. This is valid for all people over 18. It's no longer over 65. Unless you have received your booster jab in the above time frame, you will be regarded as unvaccinated and will not be able to get a pass vaccinal in France. However, for travelling purposes, you will be regarded as vaccinated up to 9 months after your second injection with the booster. So you've got a 9 months grace period to get your booster, and that's only for travelling. That's not for your pass vaccinal. If you're wondering where to book your tests, I have a few pointers for you. In the UK, you can get tested at all major airports and test centres throughout the country. Now, if you only need an antigen test, then you can self-test, for instance using a C19 kit, and I'll give you the link in the description. You usually receive the results within a couple of hours. The only reason I recommend C19 is because I've used them in the past and found them really straightforward. In France, you can make an appointment online at Doctolib with a lab near you, and again I'll give you a link in the description, or you can just turn up and queue at your local pharmacy, but be aware that not all of them offer COVID tests, so Google it beforehand. And again, they will send you your results within a few hours, so it's very straightforward. Now, before we finish, I'd like to give you some advice about airlines or transport companies. They have been known to make up their own rules, which again are different from government guidance. For instance, only accepting PCR tests for travel when the government says you can have an antigen test. So check what their requirements are before you travel and before you buy any tests. This is really important. I know it's going to make your trip really complicated, but it's really worth doing. You don't want to be turned away at the border. And finally, beware that the test results are only usually accepted in French, English or Spanish. And that's it for now. Thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. À bientôt.